The Forgotten Teen and the Riverbank Bones. In the pre-dawn hours of September 1st, 1974, 17-year-old Linda Marie Pagano returned to Akron, Ohio after a Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young concert in Cleveland. According to the account later given to police, an argument with her stepfather followed. He said he kicked her out. She never came home. 5 months later, February 5th, 1975, 3 boys hiking along the Rocky River in the Cleveland Metro Parks, Strongsville, found a partial skeleton in the mud of a sandbar. The medical examiner ruled homicide, a small caliber gunshot wound to the left temple. No ID, no name. The case file called her unknown white female bones. In May 1975, she was buried in a potter's field, unmarked. The investigation flickered, then dimmed. A clerical error kept the case out of national unidentified persons systems, so the bones could not meet any missing person files in the databases that detectives increasingly rely on. For more than 40 years, Linda's family lived with an absence. The Jane Doe lay beneath clay with a number, not a name. In 2014, Christina Skates, a Cleveland State University student and hobbyist genealogist, stumbled across a cemetery ledger entry for an unidentified young woman shot in 1975 and interred in a pauper's grave. The age, the proximity, the anonymity, all of it gnawed at her. She began gathering records, contacting the Cleveland Metro Parks ranger who had jurisdiction, requesting the autopsy, and obtaining stark photographs of a mud-caked skull missing its mandible. It wasn't just the records, it was the write-up. In 2015-2016, Skates organized what she had learned into a public case file and posted it for the internet's true crime community, especially r/unresolved mysteries. That single, structured post did 2 critical things that official channels hadn't. It reassembled the story in one place, and it reached people with niche skills who could act. Among the first to engage was Carl Koppelman, a well-known volunteer forensic artist. Working from the skull photographs, no jawbone, missing front teeth, no hair color, terrible inputs for a face, he nonetheless produced a facial approximation and, just as important, wrote to the Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner's office about the forgotten case. During that back and forth, officials realized what had gone wrong. The case had never been entered into NamUs because of a simple clerical mistake. The office corrected it and finally added Strongsville Jane Doe to NamUs. It's hard to overstate the significance. Without a NamUs entry, cross-jurisdiction comparison is guesswork. With one, a detective in another city can, in minutes, align the Doe's metrics with a missing person. Reddit organizes a living case file, not a rumor mill. Once Skates' post landed, Redditors did careful, unglamorous work that kept momentum real. On-ramp summaries for newcomers. The community pinned succinct, factual rundowns. Date of discovery, location, cause of death, where the body was buried. So every new reader started from the same record instead of re-asking basics. Process explainers. Commenters translated the jargon. What a dental comparison can and cannot prove. Why NamUs matters, and why DNA, not hunches, would be needed to close the loop. Lead triage and restraint. Moderators steered speculation toward tasks and away from guesswork about suspects. When feelings ran hot, they redirected back to verifiable steps. Constructive pressure. As local outlets picked up the emerging story, Reddit threads linked each development to official statements, keeping attention on measurable milestones. Database entries, interagency contact, and later, exhumation logistics. The database does its job. Akron meets Strongsville, late 2016. With Strongsville Jane Doe finally searchable, Jeff Smith in the Akron PD Cold Case Unit uploaded Linda Pagano's missing person record to NamUs. The resemblance, age, time window, and key measurements produced a possible match. Dental information was exchanged between Akron and Cuyahoga County. Plans formed to exhume the Potter's Field burial for DNA. Reddit tracked this in real time. An early thread framed it plainly. Tentative on dentals, exhumation plan, DNA will decide. That framing mattered. It kept expectations realistic and underscored that crowds can catalyze but cannot confirm. The exhumation snag and how it was fixed, 2017. In October 2017, officials attempted to exhume the remains. The first dig uncovered the wrong set of bones, a risk in old potter's fields where plots are poorly mapped and graves unmarked. The community did not spiral into blame. Instead, users amplified the plan to correct course. Enlist the University of Akron to perform magnetic electronic surveying and properly map the graves so the right burial could be located with confidence. That happened. The correct remains were located and sampled. Bone was shipped for testing. DNA swabs were taken from Linda's siblings. The samples went to a university lab for analysis. Lots of good DNA. The resolution, June-July 2018. On June 29, 2018, the laboratory confirmed the match. On July 12, 2018, the Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner publicly identified Strongsville Jane Doe as Linda Marie Pagano. Linda's remains were returned to her family. A memorial followed in early 2019. After 44 years, the girl in the ledger had her name back. In the Arsh Unresolved Mysteries threads that day, you can watch the online case file transition to a human story. Praise for Skates' persistence. Awe at Koppelman's rendering. Uncanny was a word that came up again and again. And relief at an official who had told commenters there was lots of good DNA. A small, hopeful phrase that had quietly steadied the community months earlier. Inside the Reddit threads, what people actually posted. A few illustrative thread moments, condensed and paraphrased from comments and OP updates. Credit where it's due. High upvoted replies explicitly credited Yush Call Me Ice, Skates' handle, and Carl Koppelman as the twin engines. One dug up a forgotten burial and organized the record, the other elevated it with art and emails that got the case into NamUs. We did it, Reddit! The OP punctuated the identification news with a jubilant line that captured the mood while still noting that the homicide itself remained unsolved. Guardrails on speculation. When users asked about suspects, the OP labeled any theory about the stepfather as opinion and nudged the thread toward the upcoming press conference and official investigative next steps. Method talk, not myth talk. Some of the highest quality comments were mini-explainers. Why dentals can produce a tentative call, why mitochondrial DNA was selected, how exhumation variables, soil mapping, affect timelines, human reactions. One popular remark marveled that the mouth in Koppelman's drawing closely matched family photos even though the jawbone was missing, a reminder that the work combined technical craft with empathy. The playbook, what Reddit changed and didn't, what changed visibility and discoverability. Skates' post bridged a bureaucratic gap. Without it, the case stayed off the grid. With it, the Doe became a NamUs entry, and Akron PD could see her. A single living case file. Instead of scattered memories, the subreddit maintained a coherent brief that reporters, officials, and relatives could digest in minutes. That speed matters when you're asking agencies to act. Constructive, sustained pressure, cross-linking to reputable coverage, tracking specific action items, database entry, exhumation, lab tests, and keeping tone measured made local authorities more comfortable coordinating in public. What didn't change? Reddit did not run tests, order exhumations, or declare an ID. Professionals did. The community's most decisive roles were record reconstruction, signal boosting, and routing, then stepping aside while science and procedure did the rest. 1974 to 1975. Linda disappears, September 1st, 1974. Partial skeleton found on the Rocky River, February 5th, 1975. Homicide ruled, buried May 15, 1975 in a potter's field, unmarked. 2014 to 2016, Christina Skates discovers the cemetery entry, obtains the file and skull photos, and posts a consolidated write-up online. Carl Koppelman produces a facial approximation and, in corresponding with the ME's office, prompts discovery of the NamUs omission. Strongsville Jane Doe is entered into NamUs. Late 2016, Akron PD, Secret Jeff Smith, enters Linda Pagano into NamUs and flags the possible match to Strongsville Jane Doe. Agencies exchange dental information. October 2017, exhumation attempt initially retrieves wrong remains due to unmarked plots. The University of Akron performs geophysical surveying to map graves. Correct remains located, bones sampled, sibling DNA collected. June 29, 2018, DNA confirms the match. July 12, 2018, public identification. Strongsville Jane Doe is Linda Marie Pagano. 2019, family memorial, remains interred with her mother. Aftermath from who is she to what happened to her. Identification closes the who, it opens the how and who did this. The homicide remains under Cleveland Metroparks jurisdiction. Reporting has noted interest in people close to Linda from 1974. One key witness, her boyfriend from the concert night, has been publicly sought for interviews. The stepfather, often discussed in Reddit threads as a personal theory, died in 1990. The crowdsourced part of the story, however, reached its humane conclusion. A daughter and sister went home by name. Why this case worked online and the guardrails it illustrates. A tractable evidence profile. A precise cause of death, a defined discovery site, and an age range made the file amenable to database comparison once it was in NamUs. A disciplined community. r/unresolved mysteries balanced energy with restraint. Summaries, sourcing, and a bias toward procedural next steps instead of rumor. A clean handoff. Once the NamUs entry and tentative dental match existed, Reddit shifted from hunting to watching, tracking exhumation logistics and DNA status rather than free associating suspects. That respect for process is a big reason officials engaged rather than recoiled.